Mind Pump has some favorite podcasts that we listen to that we've talked about in the past. One of them...
Not very many, though. I'm a little biased.
There's not a lot.
I got to like the motherfucker if I'm going to listen to him every day.
2 or 3.
Some are really good. One of our favorites is The Art of Charm. Excellent podcast.
So boy, Jordan, what's up?
Great interviews with some very interesting individuals. Did you guys listen to episode 573 where you talked to General Stanley McChrystal?
Talk about a powerful episode.
Inspiring.
I just listened to that one recently.
It's what really blows me away is how respected the guy is. How great he sounded, kind of grounded. He sounded very humble and grounded on the show, and how his the special forces soldiers would see him in the trenches with him. You know, he's one of those leaders.
Don't give away too much of the episode. They got to go listen because that's probably one of the better episodes I've heard in the last month or so on. That was fucking great.
Make sure you got to check it out.
What number was that?
Episode 573, Art of Charm, where Jordan interviews General Stanley McChrystal. Hey guys.
Oh yeah.
What is the number one most valuable thing that we offer according to our fans? When people message you and say, hey, this is the thing that I value the most. This is the thing that I love the most, and I'm so glad I got it.
Hands down the forum.
Hands down. By far. The forum is a community of fitness professionals, doctors, trainers, or just fitness enthusiasts who support each other, share fitness tips, diet tips. They check each other's form with exercises. They ask us questions because me, Adam, and Justin are on the forum daily, and it's usually several times a day.
We have bodybuilders.
We have a huge community of competitors.
Men's physique. You know, we got people that are going to Arnold's Classic right now in there. So you got people talking about diet in there, carb cycling. You got vegans in there. You got ketogenic people in there.
It's very diverse. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's an incredible community.
We got Mike Salemi on there. We have Stephanie Obergozo, 2 people.
Dr. Brink is in there.
Dr. Brink is in there. It is an incredibly valuable thing that we offer, and the price will be going up next month. However, this month, guess what?
Get it for free.
You can get it for free. This is how you do it. If you enroll in the RGB bundle or the MAPS Super Bundle. So let me break it down for you. The RGB bundle is 9 months of exercise programming. It contains our core MAPS program. You have MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 3 amazing programs by themselves, but if you combine the 3 of them and you do them in order, you have 9 months of fantastic exercise programming, and we throw in the forum for free. Or if you want to go to the next step, if you really want everything that we have to offer, you do the MAPS Super Bundle, which includes what RGB has, but it also includes MAPS Anywhere, which is a MAPS program designed without equipment. So you could do it at home, you could do it on the road, or what a lot of our members are doing is they're using it to bridge between MAPS Anabolic and MAPS Performance, or between MAPS Performance and MAPS Aesthetic. In other words, you finish one program, then you focus on these closed chain movements with body weight movement, improving proprioceptive ability. Then you move into the next MAPS. So in other words, you use MAPS Anywhere as a bridge in between them. That's included for free. Also, our latest program, the one that's getting critical acclaim. This is the program that trainers,
for sure.
Oh yeah, trainers, coaches are messaging on us about this program. It's revolutionary. It is a program with a self-assessment component that helps direct you to how to prime your workouts properly. And by the way, priming makes a huge difference in your results. Huge difference. And it teaches you how to prime your body individually, properly. So you get all of that with the MAPS Super Bundle, and you get the forum for free. So again, the RGB bundle or the MAPS Super Bundle, forum access absolutely for free for life. And don't forget, if you don't get the forum this month, next month it's going to cost more. So it's a great value. You can find all of this at mindpumpmedia.com.
If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schafer, and Justin Andrews.
You guys ready for some music magic? Here we go.
What are you going to do?
Here we go.
Another one-hit wonder?
And every time I think of her,
Every time, man.
other guys,
Remember this one?
never with me.
No.
She's driving me.
Come on, dude. Listen to the freaking background.
She's so.
Wasn't this like an intro to a sitcom?
No, right here. Ready?
You should have seen her.
You guys remember this?
Yeah, I do.
Oreo Speedwagon? I used to call them Oreo. When I was a kid, I thought they said Oreo. Oreo Speedwagon.
Oreo.
I have a
It's because those were like crack when you were a kid, dude.
What?
Oreos?
Oreos?
Holy
They're
shit.
still, what do you mean when you're a kid? They haven't lost their crack-like ability since I've been an adult.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
That's probably why I've been avoiding them.
Here's something I don't
can't
get.
sit like this
Here's something I don't get. When the commercials for Oreos when we were kids, what would they always show? Someone would fucking open the Oreo and lick the cream or whatever. And I always thought to myself, like, that's stupid. People actually eat them like that.
Of course. Just
Why?
Like,
Yeah, dude.
The same thing goes for Reese's peanut butter cups.
The best part.
What do you mean?
Reese's peanut butter cups, people eat the center out first. Don't you remember seeing those commercials?
Wait, how do you eat the center out?
People are weird.
People punch the center out.
With what?
Their finger.
Their tongue.
Do they really?
They tongue punch.
If you take like a Reese's peanut butter cup, like the big ones, right?
And you know, like
They
when you
push
watch
it.
somebody tongue punch something like that, they're like, you're a keeper.
Do what?
You know what I mean?
You're a tongue puncher.
Hey, hey, girl.
Tongue punch the
That's-
foot.
I
to
saw
me,
you tongue punching.
That's that's brilliant.
Reese's.
That's brilliant marketing, is what
But
that is.
people
It's-
actually ate Oreos like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Or do you think that they did it because the advertising did it, or do you think it was the other way around?
No, they did it because the advertising.
So you don't think that?
Well,
someone,
maybe one person. I don't know.
Maybe one person
I'm
of the
sure-
I don't know. People
no,
have
no,
really weird ticks. You know what I mean? They do weird stuff.
Typically something like that happens, right? Where I'm sure it didn't. I don't know. I'm not sure actually at all. It could have happened where someone did it. Oreo found out about it. Thought, oh, that's brilliant. That's funny. We can market that. And then they did it afterwards. Mm-hmm. Or they thought, let's make this into a thing because somebody on our team likes to fucking open them up and do that.
God.
It reminds me of that Tootsie Pop commercial, you know?
Right.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
Yeah.
More great marketing.
Free.
Yeah, but hold on a second. So here's the thing this is my problem with Oreo, with people that eat Oreos that way. And you know who you are.
What's your problem?
Here's
You know
I got
who
a-
you are.
I got a fucking problem with you, man.
That's why Oreo got smart and they double stuffed it
You,
now.
you twist it, it pops open,
Stupid.
and then you take your teeth
Completely
and you drag
stupid.
that shit off.
Completely stupid.
Yeah, you don't
the
lick
whole
it.
the whole purpose, the engineering, the reason why an Oreo is an Oreo is because you take a bite and you have cookie and
Yeah,
cream.
there's a ratio there.
If I just eat cream, it's not a cookie. It's cream.
Yeah, but
if I just eat the cookie, it's just
people
a
like
cookie.
that sweet lard.
It is no
You know what I mean?
longer an
Whatever the
Oreo.
fuck
It's like
that stuff
sucking the
is.
cream out of a Twinkie.
What is that stuff?
Yeah, and
You
then
know,
you
I'm gonna start. We should do a commercial. You bite the Twinkie and then you suck
You
the
just
cream out.
suck it out. Get it all over your face. Like, wow.
This is disgusting.
I don't know why that's sexual, but it just is.
I know why it is because
We know it.
obvious.
I can just see Justin like fingering it to try and get all the cream out.
Oh my god! I'll stick my nose inside. Just
Oh God.
yeah.
I'm serious though. You eat an Oreo, you
So
want
squishy.
cookie. There's a cookie to cream ratio that makes it an Oreo. Don't fuck that shit up, man.
Yeah.
It just feels like it just ruins it. I don't know.
But
It's like you imagine eating
Bro, you're-
cookies and chocolate chips separately. I'm gonna eat all these chocolate chips, then I'm gonna eat all these cookies. Did I eat chocolate chip cookies? No. You ate chocolate chips and you ate cookies.
You sound like a dictator. You know what I mean? Like,
It's
let
kinda-
people
we need a
do what they
law.
want to do.
We
Don't
need
you
a
think
law.
it's kind of like peanut butter and jelly though? Like, I mean, they both probably existed without each other, but together.
Well,
they're-
yeah, I'm sure they weren't invented at the same time.
Exactly. So I think it's the same. And then someone goes, "Oh my god!" When you put these two things together, it's like it makes
It's like
a
this explosion.
yeah.
happens.
It's this perfect marriage.
Peanut
And
butter
so now
jelly
they
time.
peanut
mark
butter
it together.
jelly. Peanut
Dude.
butter jelly.
I
baseball hat.
I got a something bad almost happened this morning.
What?
So I don't know about you
Another
guys.
sauna accident.
No, I was here this morning.
Can we just call it like the sauna saga?
It's
Yeah,
actually
right. You know what I
it's
mean?
actually a
Like-
steam room.
Oh, well,
I don't do the sauna.
Well, excuse me.
It's
you know?
the steam.
Yeah.
So
it just worked too well saying it like that.
So I don't know about you guys, but for me, there's really only one thing that will negatively affect my libido. Only one thing.
Only one thing.
There's only one thing
I can think of quite a few.
that will negatively affect my libido.
Watching Justin,
Getting your prostate
watching
checked.
Justin eat a Twinkie would be one of them for me.
That has no effect on my libido. It remains the same.
Come on, bro.
Nope.
I'm gonna shoot a video. I'm gonna send it to you.
It remains
That
the
doesn't
same.
Use this.
Obviously,
Yeah.
that doesn't affect Sal because that's not the one thing that affects him.
it
But that
doesn't-
would
Hey,
affect.
maybe it's
I'm
a
gonna be-
performance enhancement.
I'm gonna be
You know what I
honest.
mean?
That
You're
would
there with your
that would
girl.
affect me.
and-
It would negatively affect you?
Negatively affect.
See,
me.
oh
for-
my god.
No, no.
I gotta last longer.
No,
here.
it wouldn't positively affect it. It wouldn't negatively. It just doesn't get my libido is basically it's like it doesn't get fucked with.
It's consistent
But
unless
there's
this one thing.
This one thing fucks with it, and it's stress. If I'm very stressed out about something, then my libido can basically it gets very low. Now my girlfriend would disagree. We had this conversation. She's like, I don't think so. And I know me, and I know it gets low when I'm super stressed. And it's weird because what happens is. Whatever I'm stressed about, I'll address that issue just through a conversation. And halfway through the conversation,
You get
all
horny?
of us, yes, Isn't that weird? So let's say I'm stressed out about, I don't know.
not weird.
I'll make something up. Let's say I'm stressed out about.
You're like, oh, there he is. I'm actually a lot better.
Yeah.
Hey.
So let's say,
friend.
let's say I'll just make something up. Let's say it's finances. I'm like, God damn it, I'm so stressed out about finances. And then we talk about it. Like, let's say I talk about it with my girlfriend, and I'm just through talking about it, and I'm addressing it, and then halfway through the conversation, it's like, whoa.
I can
So
do
anyway,
this.
very stressed out. I've been very stressed out lately, and I had a nice conversation with my girlfriend this morning, and the libido came right back, and then we came here to work out, and I didn't
Because I came in. So thank God you didn't.
I don't know,
correct.
dude. I
But
kind of.
something might have happened in here.
I want to challenge that. I want to challenge you here. I think maybe.
We got a lot of GoPros in here.
I
so.
think maybe
That's the other reason I did.
I don't think it's because you are stressed and then you had this conversation and then that's where your libido. I think you have an intelligent woman that you can have a conversation with, and for the first, I don't want to say for the first time in your life, but maybe.
What is it?
Sorry.
First time.
That's what I was thinking, but I'm not going to say that. What I am going to say is that that's probably a very attractive. I know what that's like being a cerebral man and having a woman that you can talk to about things like that normally a man like me or like you probably suppresses and handles yourself because you don't trust that many other people, much less that many other women that you're with to give you feedback and advice. And she probably gives you very good feedback and advice, which can turn somebody on.
Wow, no, but that's pretty good. That's a good theory. No, I think, of course, I'm.
You disagree then?
No, well,
I'm going to ask
you're
Jessica.
not wrong.
She
You're
probably
Dr.
agrees with
Phil
me. Jessica, you
agrees.
agree with me.
No, you're not wrong because for me, I'm very mentally stimulated. Very, very mentally. Like nothing is. I'll tell you what. I had a friend of mine who posted a picture of. What was it? She posted a picture. I think it was Three's Company, and people were talking about remember the show Three's Company?
Yes.
Come and knock on our door. Yeah, that's a great.
You asked that twice. I'm like, did you want Justin to sing it? Is that
What a great show.
Yeah.
But anyway, everybody thought Chrissy
Guys
was
riding a bike. He
yeah,
falls.
everybody thought Chrissy was hot, right? Chrissy was the hot one.
Fuck yeah.
No, Janet. I always wanted to bang Janet.
No.
Always.
No, you can't compete with the Thigh Master lady.
She's stupid.
Woo.
She was stupid in the show, therefore I had
she
no.
didn't even wear a bra.
I was super attracted to
Go
Janet.
back and watch it.
God,
Now-
you remember that? Jesus.
Now what about
She was like my crush.
now
when I
what
was
about
a kid.
Scooby Doo?
Obviously.
What about Scooby Doo? Who's the hot girl in Scooby Doo?
You like the nerdy girl that
I
found,
like
the
the
found all the
redheaded
clues?
one.
I liked Velma.
You like Velma?
I was always
You got it all
attracted.
wrong.
You would be a Velma fucker.
Isn't that weird?
Hashtag Velma,
Velma
fucker.
fucker.
Starting another one.
I like that.
Adam, you're Shaggy. You've turned into Shaggy.
Zoinks.
Oh,
Yeah.
the stash right now. That's what I kind of feel Shaggy-ish.
Dude, your mustache makes me feel violated.
So I had
You know what
this.
the funniest Scooby Doo episode ever was?
What?
Like, okay, so like Shaggy got stuck in a chimney, and he's like, I can't get out, Scoob, and so like he gets Scooby to basically get a broom, and so Scooby's like shoving this broom up to try and get him out of there, and he's like, and then Shaggy's like, go Scoob, and he's like laughing the whole time. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? He's shoving a broom like to try and
Up his
get him out.
butt.
It just looks like he's just penetrating him.
You don't think
Hilarious.
You don't think for a second that these cartoon writers get bored as fuck.
That's what I'm saying.
and they're like, hey, let's do some shit. Like
he's
these
like, we
kids
can
won't
totally
know.
get. They don't even know what this is. Like I wouldn't have known.
They're a bunch of stoners.
No,
They're
don't
all
you-
a bunch of stoners.
You know that was a big thing, right? With like the Disney movies. Do you remember when that happened?
Oh, when they put like dicks in there and stuff.
yeah.
like in the clouds.
Yeah, like so in the Aladdin cloud, if you freeze it, or not, or when he's flying on the carpet inside, I can't remember what it says on the wall. It says something. I remember it
What's
lying
that song on the carpet?
when you remember.
Oh, you're looking at me to like.
Yeah.
Oh, new world.
There it is.
New fantastic point of view.
That's the Aladdin. That's what he sings. Is that Aladdin?
A whole
Maybe.
new world.
A whole new world.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It's a whole new world.
I'm fucking right.
I
dude.
believe
I don't
you.
even have a
I'm just
daughter.
asking. I
You know what
believe.
I
I'm,
mean?
well, I'm not going to challenge your Disney knowledge there.
Yeah.
Definitely not the two of you with children. I mean,
No, we know
I've been
this-
out of the game for about 20 years.
We know the song.
I got that down.
Adam knows the part of the movie where there's a dick in
With
it.
the dick. Thank you for that. Bringing it to the real.
He's like, I watch it on mute.
Well,
I don't know if
I'm the oldest of 5, so I've got I had younger siblings that are significantly younger than me. They're now in their 20s, but before, when I was 20 and they're 10, I remember them watching those things and being an adult and seeing them be like, these motherfuckers put penises in here. This is crazy. They can get away with this.
Yeah.
But I remember that was like the original versions, and then afterwards they edited it. And there was rumors way back then. So my family has all the like original Disney classics, and like my mom collects them. She has a crazy.
Yeah, it's brilliant. They like put them out and then they take them away and they put them in a vault or whatever. They just make it impossible to buy.
And then they release them every 10 years or whatever like that. And
it pisses you off as a consumer, but you still do it.
It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant marketing.
Have you guys seen these studies? I'm going to say studies, but let's just pretend there's quotes around them.
Okay.
That have been posted on Instagram. It's like a nice looking picture, and it's a study on fitness, which we love studies on fitness.
Yeah, so
I love.
I'm already ready to learn something.
I'm already like, let's fucking read the
dive
study.
into this.
And the study will say something like, "Can standing shoulder presses impact shoulder growth?" What? Well, why are you studying this? The answer is yes. Next.
Can
You know what I'm
breathing
talking about, right?
keep you alive?
Have you seen these?
This sounds like the muscle PhD to me.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I refer
Dr. Captain Obvious.
Captain Obvious.
Oh my God.
Yeah, have you seen some of this? Like some of these studies?
Yeah.
Where are they getting the funding to studies? Like, do you go to investors? You're like, okay, this is what I want to do.
Is drinking water good
Yeah.
for you?
I want some money to study whether or not barbell curls builds the biceps more than tricep press downs. Can I have some money to? And then he puts out a study. Barbell curls builds more biceps than tricep press downs. Some of them are okay, but a lot of them are these Captain Obvious kind of studies. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't trust this guy.
What?
I know who you're talking about. I know you're trying to be PC right now. I've seen that's all he does is post these studies that are just ridiculous to me, like moving will burn calories and fat. Like, yeah, no fucking shit it will do that. Like, guess what? If you squat, you'll build muscle.
Here's another study.
You
could call him Captain Snapple Top.
Here's another one. Should you train the biceps through different angles? Like, these are kind of like they're kind of answers we already know to, right?
Well, yeah, and I think you should be clear. The reson why I'm not a fan, I don't like people that don't respond to me. I'm a little bitch like that. You know, if there's another like person that is,
he's playing hard to get.
Yeah, well, if you're in our field, you're posting science, you're posting studies, and you're somebody potentially that I could see coming on the show or discussing things with. Like I reach out to a lot of these guys, and I have been for a long time, and for the most part, everybody responds. You know, even someone like a Dr. Lane Norton who has a opposing view as we do, still. You know, would converse and talk with me and
physically comes here.
Yeah, and would
which
come.
Is awesome.
So I have not been a fan of old boy for quite some time because I've caught him many times where I'll ask a question that's related to his fucking study that he posted, and he answers everybody above me and everybody below me, and it makes me feel like a little fucking punked. So I don't like that. So
probably because you're mean.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd answer you. I
might avoid you. Yeah.
I do not go.
Unless
I'm
I knew
very respectful on other people's pages. Find me a time where I've gone on somebody else's page.
Don't do that, dude.
And been
you're asking the internet freaking to do that right now. They're
let
gonna
them
find something.
Let them. I don't. What?
You're gonna get like 15
you know, the only pages I might go to is probably you guys. I talk more shit about the two of you than I do anybody else.
Yeah. Look what you're doing there, Tubby. Oh man, Adam.
See, dude. Yeah.
So
mean.
Adam?
See what happened, bro?
I know.
You're already giving him a complex. We had this conversation the other day.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Don't do that.
I'm not a fan.
No, I'm talking about Justin. He just made a tubby joke about himself.
Why? I love it. Yeah. Bring it, motherfucker.
Don't do that. He makes me feel bad, dude. I don't like when we make fun of each other.
I like making
that.
fun of us.
All right.
It's
All
fun.
Right. Speaking of Lane Norton, that was a good time we had with him.
It was a great time.
Yeah.
I tell you what, we don't agree on everything, but we've said this on the show.
We did agree on a lot. Which was interesting.
Yeah, and we've said this many, many times before. We respect the guy, and it's great to meet someone in person, and then for your first impression to be
what's your read on him?
On Lane?
Yeah,
very hardworking, extreme integrity. It comes across with like incredible integrity. Mm-hmm. Obviously, very smart guy. Mm-hmm. I think, and we've talked crap about some of his stances. Although we've said we've respected him, there's also some stuff that we disagree with. But he was willing to come here and get on the show. Yeah. A lot of people wouldn't do that because there's three of us. It's our house. Like
mad respect. For
that. A lot of people wouldn't do that. So I have a lot of respect for him. I still even more than I did originally. Mm-hmm. But we disagree on a few things, and we have a 4-hour long interview with him, which is going to get aired.
Did it go 4, Doug? Did it go 4?
It did go 4.
Oh, close to it, somewhere around there. Wow.
Yeah. It was.
Did we agree that we're going to do just one big monster one? Is that what we're?
I think we're going to drop the whole thing.
I think we should do that. Yeah. Let people decide when they want to stop. The conversation.
No, it was a great. I mean, fuck, we could have gone for another 4 hours.
Well, he gets into some stories, man. That he went on for a while on a couple stories.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So
revealing.
Today's Quah is being brought to you by Chimera Coffee. It's the only coffee that is infused with all natural nootropics for a cleaner, calmer, and more focused buzz without the crash. Click the Chimera link at mindpumpmedia.com and input the discount code MINDPUMP at checkout for 10% off.
It's the motherfucking Quah.
Eagle has landed. First up is Coach K.J. Farrell. Oh, Terrell. Sorry about that. Best way to transition into keto.
Before we go into how you should transition into keto, just based off of my observations and off of the science surrounding the ketogenic diet, and we're going to talk about the legit ketogenic diet, not the bodybuilding.
Modified.
Yeah, not the bodybuilding versions of keto where they're really high in protein. And like a legit keto is like 70% fat. It's like a very high fat, moderate to low protein, and very, very low carbohydrate type diet. There are segments of the population that the ketogenic diets tend to work really, really, really well for. And there's some medical applications. Now, the original medical applications for ketogenic diets were for people with epilepsy. But now we're finding there's other applications. People with autoimmune disorders, in particular neurodegenerative type of autoimmune disorders like MS, seem to do very, very well on keto diets or keto type diets.
Well, explain what we know about that as far as like how the brain is using ketones instead of glucose, and what we know about that and what we're learning.
Well, if you have if you have issues processing glycogen and utilizing glycogen for energy, your running off of ketones is going to make you feel a lot better. So, for example, people with dementia and Alzheimer's, they seem to do really well with keto diets because their brains are having issues with, functioning, and transitioning to ketones makes the brain operate more efficiently, produces less byproducts, less inflammatory markers, and so their brains just work better, and then they get this kind of like symptoms get better with their Alzheimer's. We don't know if it prevents Alzheimer's yet or helps Alzheimer's in terms of curing it, but we do know that for a lot of people, even ketone supplements, you'll see benefits with their symptoms.
Well, it's just stepping outside and using a different energy source. I mean, just from looking at it from that perspective, like the health benefits that provides, and the different, like if you even experience it, you're going to kind of notice things, right? You're going to notice like a little bit more clarity in your thought process. I mean, this is all obviously placebo in ways that you're going to experience it yourself, but as far as that's concerned, like that's one thing that I've noticed, like just being a little bit more restrictive and like always running on the same type of energy fuel source.
And there's other applications for athletes as well. A ketogenic diet is probably not the best diet for strength athletes. I can say that pretty confidently. I think carbohydrates provide you with more explosive type strength, studies will show. I've noticed it myself.
That being said, the drawbacks of it are splitting hairs, though. Like you had someone like Dom who went, 5-7 days fasted, ketogenic.
And here's the thing, it depends, right? It depends on the individual. Like for me, I tend to have gut issues, and they seem to be autoimmune issues. So eating keto makes me healthier, therefore I'll be stronger keto than I will eating on other diets. But if you don't have those issues, studies will show that carbohydrates or eating carbs in some way is probably better for strength. But if you're a long distance athlete or an endurance athlete, ketogenic diets present some very interesting performance benefits. Like let's say you're doing like a 100-mile race, or you're these extreme, kind of endurance athlete. It might benefit you.
Bitters of the world.
Yeah, it might benefit you to run off of ketones, because then you don't have to feed yourself with so many carbohydrates during your races and your runs. It just makes you more efficient. And you naturally, even if you're lean, you store so many more ketones or fat energy than you do glycogen anyway. I mean, if you're an athlete, a lean athlete, you're still going to have about 30,000 calories worth of, ketones stored on just as body fat, and you're lucky if you have 6,000 calories from glycogen stored. So for long distance athletes, you see a lot of them adopting the keto type of diet.
So as far as like the transition, they're asking about like what the best way to transition into being keto. Like, well, would you talk about like intermittent fasting and kind of like just being more restrictive first?
No, I think what's more important,
or upping your fast.
Yeah, I think what's more important than that is understanding that when you're the average, at least this is my experience with all the different clients that I've taken from just a regular balanced diet to making that transition into keto. The number one thing that all of them struggle with is increasing their fats to what they need because of how low their carbs are. Most people don't realize how much carbs they get on a regular basis, and then when they go to eliminating it, which is what you're pretty much doing in a real true ketogenic diet, to nothing, you need a ton more fat, or else you feel like shit. I mean, your body really wants glucose or ketones, and if you don't give it enough fat, it's almost like, and I don't even know the way to explain this with science. I explain this very simple to my people: is when you don't give it enough fat, you don't give it enough carbs. That's where you get that shitty feeling of your body's like almost confused. Like, what are you going to give me as my primary source of energy? Because you're not giving me enough fat, you're not getting enough carbs, and then here come the headaches, here come this like fatigue feeling, and then people go like, oh, this isn't for me, I hate it. When it's like, well, no, what it was wrong was you thought increasing your fats from 60 to 80 grams a day to now eating 180 or 200 was more than enough, and actually you were wrong. It was nowhere near what you needed. It's way more fat than you were used to eating.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. To get into ketosis, you're going to have to, because you can scale it, right? You can go lower carbs, bump up fat, bump up fat, bump up fat. At some point, you'll switch to ketosis. And when that switch happens, now you're on a ketogenic diet. So if you want to go ketogenic, you can just go ketogenic. The problem with that is, are you going to tolerate the type of foods and the amount of fat? Now, some people's gut flora and the enzyme production in their body doesn't translate very well to straight keto. Like, I've had clients that'll go straight keto and then they'll become constipated, or they'll have tough time digesting all those fats because their gut flora and their enzyme production or whatever, their body was adapted to eating more carbohydrates. But I've had other people who transitioning that way is much easier, and doing the slow route just kind of prolongs the pain, because when you do switch into keto, there's a little bit of a transition process to where your body has to kind of get used to running off of ketones.
Yeah, but wouldn't you agree that one of the problems, because I agree with you that you can go from, hey, you can be a balanced eater or whatever, and then switch right into keto the next day. That's fine, but the mistake that most people make is they don't get enough fat, and that's typically why they have this shitty feeling that they have.
Yeah, I would say probably the easiest way to do it. Justin actually touched on something. If you're first of all, you have to be healthy. Make sure that this will work for you. I would enter into a ketogenic type diet after a 24 to 48 hour fast. So go into the fast. After about 48 to 72 hours of fasting, you're going to go ketosis anyway. So I don't care what your diet is. If you fast for 72 hours or so.
Yeah, that's what I was hinting at.
Yeah, your body will go into ketosis. But 72-hour fast is a long time for most people. Yeah. I would say, and again, you got to be healthy. This is not for everybody. So there's your little disclaimer. But do a 24-hour fast. Then your first meal, make it light, but make sure it's a keto kind of profile.
Yeah, high fat.
High fat, have your veggies, kind of moderate protein, and then go into a ketogenic diet. That'll be an easier transition than eating carbs to then all of a sudden eating high fat.
I think like it was some people that I know have had like an adverse reaction right away too. Is the jump from it's almost like a hunger pain, or it's like it's a different type of a signal than coming from like very carb loaded and being like dependent on that fuel source and then switching completely into a different operating system. So I feel like like going into more of a fasted state like kind of trains the body to prep for that process, and then you can kind of like enter it a little bit more.
I agree. I think that's a smart strategy.
Very
for
smart.
Sure. Yeah,
very smart. And one of the hallmarks of a ketogenic diet is it kills your appetite. It really does. It really does kill your appetite. It's sad. I mean, if you're trying to eat a certain amount of calories, it kind of makes it easy. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I eat keto-ish, most of the time. I do throw in carbohydrates because I like to keep metabolic
I know,
flexibility.
I hate even using the word. for
Yeah,
that.
and I don't like using the word because, like I was saying, it's not. I don't eat like this most of the time. At least once a week or so, I'll have a decent amount of carbohydrates for me. So it's probably still low for most people, but for me, because I like to have that, like I said, metabolic flexibility. But I notice when I'm real keto, it makes it hard for me to eat enough calories. I have no appetite. It's just super, super satiating.
I remember when you were talking about it, Adam, too. Like you're still trying to kind of keep your size and all that.
Oh, it was
competing. It was like really hard to get.
It was impossible for me to bulk on or put size on. It was great for leaning. Like I found, like you said, I was satiated. I didn't feel like I was thinking. I loved it for that. For leaning out, I'm a big fan, and I don't like saying a big fan of keto. I'm a big fan of a higher fat diet and a minimal amount of carbohydrates. And that was my favorite part about going ketogenic, and why I like to teach it to people is not because I believe that follow this diet, because I don't. What I do think though is 90+% of all the people that I have trained have never ate a macro breakdown like that, where you're literally consuming 70% fat. Like, we have demonized fat for so long, that, I used to tell people a general rule was just stay under 25%, so if you flip a box around and that food says it's above 25%, avoid it. And that was just kind of a generic number that we used for so long. So, most people are used to staying away from fat for the most part. So just teaching them all the benefits and teaching them how to connect how they feel and their skin and their hair and strength and energy and satiety and all these things that you get from these good, healthy fats, because you're increasing them higher than you ever have. Those, to me, that is the best part about the ketogenic diet, was that you now have this opportunity to really connect those dots and realize, like, wow, this is an important nutrient in my diet that I've been avoiding for so many years. And to me, that is the most valuable thing.
Yeah, and just a couple points I want to make that I don't think we stress enough with ketogenic when we have these kind of questions is, number one, too much protein will throw you out of ketosis. So if you're really trying to go into ketosis, it does not jive well with a massive protein, typical bodybuilder diet. So even if your carbs are real low and your fat is high, but you're still eating over 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, or even 1 gram per pound of body weight for some people, will throw you out of ketosis. Number two, it does not mean it's healthy. So if you're eating, I've had people be like, hey, Sal, I eat keto and I went to the doctor and my cholesterol exploded. And I'm like, well, let me see your diet. And literally they have their fatty acid profile is horrible. Like, it's all saturated fat. All they have is butter, bacon, steak. Like, they don't have olive oil in there. They don't have fish in there. They don't have, avocados. They don't have any of the other types of fats in there. So the fatty acid profile is all off. Like, it just because the macros break down to be keto doesn't mean it's going to be healthy.
Well, and this is the drawback that I had with it was
the variety.
I remember looking back at you and said, fuck, man, months have gone by here, and I feel like a bulk of all my calories are coming from these handful of 5 foods, which we promote. We talk so much about diversity in your diet and the benefits of color and food rotation, that any diet, which is why I also don't like diets or isms, is when you start to constrict like that, it requires more work. People think by signing themselves up for a diet that it's going to simplify how they eat, but in reality, they're actually making it more challenging for themselves, because they're not allowing themselves to be able to go outside of those parameters based on the parameters that the diet's given you. And that actually makes it harder. We've said this before about one of the most challenging things about, vegans is, if you're a true vegan and you follow that, and you're also trying to hit all of your micro and macronutrient targets that your body needs, it's actually really difficult to do.
Plan.
Yeah, and keto is no different. It's very similar. It's the opposite though, right? Mm-hmm. It's just as challenging.
Imagine being a ketogenic vegan, and they do exist. It's kind of like it's an interesting, even it's adding another layer of complicated.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
So, next question, Doug.
Next up, E. Carlson. In a past podcast, you guys talked about some beef with Jim Stepani.
Who? Sal's favorite guy.
Beef.
I wanted to know more about why and explain why you think his supplements are no good.
Sal doesn't like his tattoos.
His words.
Yeah, I'll stop.
I like his
Is
tattoos.
there more to the question?
There's a little bit more to the question.
Oh, keep going.
I recently stopped taking a lot of supplements after listening to you guys, and just would like to know what your thoughts are.
I'll spend a very, very short time talking about Stepani just because I think it's a dead horse. But it started with a lot of people who followed him would tag me or say things like, hey, I know you guys say, the studies show for maximum, muscle building performance that lean athletes will get the maximum benefit or will get no more benefit from eating more than around 0.6 to 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight.
Why is this guy saying 1.5 to 3?
And make no mistake, the vast majority of studies, almost all of them, the good ones at least, are conclusive in this, that it's consistent. Any more protein than that, it won't hurt you unless you go crazy with it, but it's not going to give you any more muscle, so you're wasting your time. And here we have a guy, which was Stepani, who was saying, no, you get great benefit from eating 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And then he's recommending people take his protein supplement like 3-4 times a day to help make that up. So now you've got a 150-pound...
Make sure it's casein before bed.
Yeah, now you've got a 150-pound female eating...
That's right. He does a morning and night fucking protein
it's
too.
marketing.
Yep.
Then you've got a woman say, 150-pound woman eating 300 grams of protein, and she's talking about how she's bloated. She's taking 3 servings of protein powder a day. She's not pooping. She doesn't feel good. And I'm like, okay,
this is all
stop
processed protein.
It's just too much.
It doesn't matter what source it is. It's
and
all
so
processed.
I got upset, and I talked about it because, of course, he's a PhD. He should know better. And obviously, he's just selling bullshit. And he fired back, and then we went back and forth, and that's it. That's where that ends.
Yeah.
As far as supplements are concerned,
Well, hold on a second, because I think he's not the only one who's like this. I think
there's a lot of them.
I think the three of us get a little more agitated with PhDs that do this. Yeah. I tend to not
because they have more credibility.
Exactly. So I have less of a problem with a kid like a Joey Swole, Devin Physique Shreds type of kid, or some first form athlete.
Yeah, you expect them to not know what the
exactly. No, really, that's true. And they're basically following the herd. They see how you make money in the fitness industry. You make a name for yourself, then you peddle some supplement and get everybody on it. And then the way they push it is, I take it, so you should take it. And it feels so great or works so great. That's fine, whatever. It's the PhDs in the industry that I don't like, because I know, being someone that's been in this for so long, and I'm sure that even you who's listening to this right now as a listener, there's so much information, there's so much science, we're always evolving, we're always learning, we're always changing things, and it's very easy to confuse the consumer. It's very easy in this market to put up a study that makes it look like you need this or take this or do that. And I know this because I remember giving bad information for many of the years that I was a trainer, because I was getting fed these studies that at that time I didn't know how to read a study. I didn't understand exactly what I was looking for and what made it a legitimate study or good information, or understood like, okay, what does that really translate to? Okay, so it means a percentage of this is increased because I take this, but what does that really translate into my real goal, which is fat loss or muscle building? And when you start to learn and understand that, you realize that it's fucking splitting hairs. The best supplement on the market, the best supplement stack you could possibly take. You're talking about incremental change that you can get from that in the fat loss and muscle building category. There's much bigger rocks. And we know as trainers, for as long as we've been doing this for, that there's so many other places that we can help people for free. Teaching someone how to work out correctly, how to eat, how to lower stress in their life, how to drink more water. I mean, these are all basic things, but a lot of people fuck them up.
And not only that, but let's on top of that, there are some supplements that'll give you a little bit of benefit. Even the most effective supplement, the most effective non-hormonal supplement that's out there, backed up by hundreds of studies, one of the most studied ergogenic supplements in fitness, period, end of story, is creatine. Creatine, for sure, for most people, will give you some benefit. But even that benefit, even creatine that's proven to work, even that benefit is not going to come anywhere
It's
near
very low in the totem pole.
It's not even going to come close to like changing your workout programming or eating right. It's not going to come close, and that's creatine. Now you could take.
I would even argue stress and sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Like lower your stress or manage your stress better and get better sleep. Those will do better than creatine. Like if I took all the supplements that were out there, all the ones on the market, I guarantee you we could take 95% of them, if not more, and put them in a category of complete bullshit, waste your money, and may even actually be harmful. That's 100% accurate. I'll stand right by that. Very, very small percentage of them will have some use depending on on your diet, depending on the period of time. Like if you live in an area, I'll give you an example. Like if you live in a part of the world where you don't get much sun, you're indoors all the time, a vitamin D supplement might give you some benefit. Is it going to give everybody a benefit? No. Is it going to give you a benefit all the time? No. What about if you're in the sun more, for example? So this is how supplements should be used. We're not anti-supplement. We just unfortunately the majority of the things.
Yeah, you got to change the way that you look at them. So like if you have all of your ducks in a row and you've completely mastered all the big things that are going to make the most difference, and now you're just looking for like a little bit more of an edge, or you may feel like you're deficient, part of your diet in certain areas that you're not as likely to be able to pull from natural whole food sources. So there's a lot of room there to experiment and kind of figure out if it makes sense with your lifestyle. Right. But we're just against the idea that there's magic pills.
The gimmicky part.
Yeah.
The gimmicky part.
That's it.
The part
which is most of out there.
It is. And that's why I know why Sal was treading lightly when talking about Jim, because what we are not here to do is to single out somebody and try.
We're not trying to bully.
We're not trying to poison someone's business. We're not trying to hate on an individual. It just so happens to be that him and Sal kind of got into this little social media thing back and forth.
They had like a rap battle.
Yeah, and we have a platform, so we're going to use it and we're going to talk. We're going to talk, but we're not trying to continue to sabotage this guy's business. But he is a great example of exactly what motivated us to start Mind Pump, 2 years ago was, these type of guys.
It's misinformation.
Yes.
I can't stand misinformation or like people holding on to old information, old, studies and just still like just not letting go of that.
Well, look,
even when the evidence is in front of them.
Well, look, let's use an example of another PhD, someone who has lots of integrity from what we've seen so far is Lane. We just talked to Lane, right? Lane is not going to tell, look, he could sell a shit ton of protein powders if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But he's going to tell people, hey, listen, if you eat more than about 0.7, 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, it's not going to do you any benefit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He could bullshit people to sell more supplements, and he hasn't. And I'm glad that there's at least some people.
Oh, yeah. No, we talked about that on his episode was, we brought up, one of the deals that he made when he made his contract with bodybuilding.com and that supplement was that he wanted to be able to market it the way he wanted to, and they wouldn't be able to say how he would do that. So,
but just to give you guys an example of how they use studies, like if I were to tell you, I'm going to give you 1% improvement. Maybe we did a study with 20 people, and out of the 20 people, we think we saw 1% improvement.
Don't make it that bad. Make it
no. Okay. You'll see where I'm going.
Okay.
And I said, hey, we think a 1% improvement for two things. You'd think number one, 1%. Okay, that's fucking stupid. Number two, 1%. That could just be random because you only pick 20 people. We'd have to study like a million people to see if that's even significant, right? However, if I'm comparing 3% to 2% with a 1% increase, I could advertise that as a 50% increase.
Yeah.
I could say to you, hey, our supplement will increase your whatever 50%. Now, little do you know, it's the difference between 3% and 2%. But that's how they take the numbers, they twist them, they mark. And what they'll do is they'll focus on things that they can change that don't necessarily mean you're going to get better results. For example, nitrogen balance. If you increase your protein intake, your nitrogen balance is probably going to go up. Now, nitrogen balance is connected to more muscle growth, positive tissue growth, but it's also connected to a few other things. It doesn't mean you're going to get it.
This is the reason why you'll never see these ways they market. Like, we'll give you like a direct thing. Like, for example,
Like you built more muscle.
Exactly. You will add
Yeah.
1 pound of muscle more a week if you take this supplement. They can't say that.
No, it's
They
good.
can't,
Our
so
study,
they don't.
Our study showed a 50% increase in nitrogen balance. Let's say it's 1%, but they should be, 3% versus 2%. Increased nitrogen balance by 50% by using our supplement. Nitrogen balance is positively associated with muscle growth, and you're like, oh shit, 50% more muscle.
Like, holy crap.
It's totally.
That means I just went from 1 to 2%.
Yeah, it's totally designed to fuck with you,
Massive.
in that particular way. So
That's the main reason why. So it's not just Jim that we're picking on. It's the people that represent shit like that.
Poor Jim.
Tiffany Little, how would you change your training and diet in periods of chronic stress?
so this is
Is that how that was written?
How would you change your?
Well,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the concern is, gaining weight and losing muscle when you're in a stressful period.
yeah,
of
like
time.
this is a good question.
Yeah, because you could use stress or you could back away from stress. There's two different benefits.
Well, I think you need to change your idea of what your target adaptations are for your training and diet. And I have a personal story to go along with this. So I've been exercising consistently now for 2 decades or more than 2 decades. Right?
Jesus, you're old.
For a long time. I've been doing this since I was a kid. And obviously in that period of time, I've gone through periods of stress. And in one time in particular where I had a close family member who was very, very sick for about a year and then who passed away, it was one of the more stressful periods of my entire life. Now, during that period of time, had I maintained my focus on building muscle, getting leaner, getting stronger, I for sure would have either hurt myself or overtrained or gotten myself ill.
Yeah.
Because my body was handling a lot of stress. I wasn't sleeping much because of worry, because of you're stressing over the individual that you're thinking about. Oh my God, are they going to make it? Because of lack of sleep, because you're helping with this person over here, you're helping with that over there. I'm helping to cook dinner over these days a week or whatever. It would have been a bad combination. So instead, what I did during this period of time of chronic it was actually more than a year of stress. It was about 2 years of stress because you had a year of this person going through this disease and then a year of mourning after they passed away. So it was about 2 years worth of stress. During that 2-year period of time, my focus and goal was not to improve my body. It was not to improve my performance. It wasn't to get leaner. My goal was to alleviate my stress. My goal was to go in the gym and to make myself feel better. It was
This is
to
really
go
hard
in
for people to do.
very hard.
Yeah.
I went into the gym to escape for an hour, to be present for an hour because the rest of my day was so stressful. So I didn't pay attention to the weight that I lifted. I didn't pay attention to how my body was looking. It was like, can I maintain my health so that I can be strong for this person, so I can handle this stressful situation that I'm going through. So it was like, it's no different than training for a sport. Like I'm going into the gym and I'm going to use this so I can handle this chronic stress, or so that I can alleviate some of this chronic stress. So that's the way I always recommend people change their training and diet. Like and to be more specific, okay, if you're under high levels of chronic stress, you're going into the gym to be recuperative, to be restorative. So intensity is lower.
Yeah.
Focus is on mobility. Focus is on flexibility, tightness, recruitment patterns. Because you'll notice at least I notice this quite a bit in my clients and myself, under high levels of stress, I hold my shoulders differently. I hold my posture differently. I hold my neck differently.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to correct those things in the gym because
Well, this is a lot of where part of our motivation behind Prime fortification sessions is this is exactly how I prescribe this to a client.
And you have people take compass tests all the time, right?
Yes.
Because your body changes.
Exactly.
It changes,
and it's a new priority, right? So I got a client who's extremely stressed right now. They're going through a career change. They're going through a divorce. They got a lot on their plate right now. But yet they still have goals. They still want to be in shape. They still want to improve that. And then, but they're looking to me to guide them. And okay, where do I go, Adam? Or what should I be doing right now? And a lot of times, I got to convince them to pull back on their training or shift what we're focusing on. Instead of hammering the body with the weight so much, trying to make progress in building muscle or burning fat, the new focus is feeling better.
Well, that's important to highlight because on top of that, like you don't want to just stop doing things, right? Because I've had clients that are in the same situation that are dealing with like chronic stress that it's not going to end anytime soon either.
Yeah.
And so it's not necessarily to their benefit to just lift heavy and really try to improve their body and from a performance aspect, but it is so beneficial to create this outlet, to create this environment where we're still going through the movements. We're still keeping that signal alive, and not only that, it's like it's a place for you to sort of meditate and become more present to, like sort of regroup yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to step outside of that stress and create a different environment for you to step into.
I mean, I know it's a shameless plug, but this is why we created all these different types of programs, because when we're done, the idea is that personal trainers will utilize all the tools that we've provided for these exact type of situations and questions. Mm-hmm. So I would hope that a trainer that I was developing and training and that had all of the resources that we provide would be able to look at you and be like, boom, there's MAPS Prime fortification sessions and MAPS White I want you doing for the next 2 months. Mm-hmm. And the idea is you're going to be doing these body weight type movements. You're going to be focusing on mobility like Sal was saying, and you're not going to be heavily focused on heavy deadlifting, heavy squatting, overhead pressing, a lot of stuff that we are huge firm believers in to build the most amount of muscle, and how the foundation of all of our MAPS Red, MAPS Green, MAPS Black programs. But that's not a priority right now. Right now, your stress and you feeling better is now becoming a priority. But yet we don't want to lose everything that we've done and accomplished. We don't want to take a step back. We just want to reprioritize your focus when you're inside the gym. And like Justin's saying, we don't want you to completely stop. So let's move over to like MAPS White, where we're going to be doing more body weight type movements, and let's incorporate some of your, MAPS Prime, where we can start addressing some of your imbalances. Because all those things, if you got imbalances, if you got bad posture and you got stress, I guarantee you're dealing with little minor aches and pains and annoyances throughout the day.
Well, your body also becomes hyper reactive anyway.
Right.
When you're super, super stressed out, you're more likely to feel pain anyway.
Exactly. And this is why
you get really tense.
Why you would go through these fortification sessions to help alleviate that while you're doing more body weight type things, which is not going to be as stressful on the body as like a heavy deadlift or overhead.
And you want to
press.
keep in mind, it's not just about being tense. It's literally your emotional state will make you feel more pain. And I hate, people get angry when you say that, because they say, oh, well, you're just trying to say my pain isn't real. No, you feel it, so it's real.
Yeah.
It's just not there's not a physical reason for your pain. It's an emotional reason. And I promise you, it's very strongly connected.
It's all connected.
And so
all the systems are connected. They all feed into each other.
And going in there and moving. Look, there were days that I would go into the gym, and luckily I owned a gym, so I could do this. But if you don't own a gym, you could do this at your house. You could go in a room or whatever. But what I did was I would go in the gym. I'd turn all the lights off. So the only light that came into the gym was from the window, so it was kind of dark in there. I put my headphones on, and I put kind of soft, slow music. And I'd go in the gym, and I would do just movement. I would just move. I would do stretches. I would just breathe. And, I'd lower the intensity. It's something you want to keep in mind when you go into the gym and you're pissed off and you feel like you just want to break, you want to throw the weights in the air because you're so angry. Sometimes that's not what you're supposed to do. Sometimes what you do is you do the opposite, because, throwing in more intensity at yourself is going to ramp yourself even more. And so I'd go in there and I'd give myself 15 minutes to bring myself down, and then I do my movements.
He does this. It's really weird too. When I walk in, see him doing downward dog to Inya. It's just a weird.
Yeah.
In his briefs.
And the other thing too, the other thing with diet.
Yeah, I was gonna say diet. Like you notice people how they medicate with stress, because it's like they need this sort of like release. So a lot of times alcohol comes into the picture a little bit more. Like some more like poor eating habits just tend to kind of make their way in, because it's a comforting thing.
Especially sugar and highly processed carbohydrates, because they both will cause a rise in serotonin. And so you'll find that the more stressed you are, the more likely you are to crave these types of foods. And then it becomes this feedback loop where you get a drop in blood sugar and you want to eat more of them. here's the thing: when you're
God, you know what you just said is such a good point, and it's so fresh in my mind because of just the recent podcast that we did with Lane Norton and stuff. Is, you know, these are the things that we do know. We do know when you eat foods like that, it does increase serotonin. We do, and because of that, it becomes more addictive. It becomes easier for people to do, and this
it's a physiological response
exactly
to food that are chemicals. I'm sorry.
Yep, and this is the part that I have such a hard time when I debate people like that over something like sugars and artificial sweeteners, is because there's so much more to meets the eye. It's not just cut and dry like this calorie versus this calorie.
It's not the law of thermodynamics.
It's not. There's other things going on with the body, and I know that fucking more than half the people that I've trained in my life deal with this type of shit. They deal with stress, they deal with jobs, deaths, they deal with this stuff going on. And when they do, these are the typical patterns because it's normal. And of course, and then when you do it one time, it feeds that, right? The serotonin kicks up and you feel a little bit better than what you did.
You feel a drop and then you want more.
Exactly.
And like I said, like nourish your body. Like, first of all, you have to acknowledge you're under chronic stress. So a lot of people don't acknowledge it. They think they're warriors and they're just going to fight through it. That's the wrong approach. Acknowledge it. Like, okay, wow, I'm really under a lot of stress. Here's my battle plan with my nutrition. I'm going to really just take care of myself because that's going to help me deal with the stress. That's one of the best things you could possibly do. There's a reason why they call comfort foods comfort foods. It's like a medication. You go in, you eat, you feel a little better. I need some more comfort food. And that's going to happen sometimes, but just be aware of it and really nourish your body with diet because it makes a big difference.
Don't punish yourself for it either.
No, don't exactly. Thank you, Justin. And if you fuck up, don't punish yourself.
Flex Wardle, what moments in your life have defined you as a man?
Jeez, I have quite a few of those. The first...
The first boner.
Of course, that would be you.
Yeah. I think the first...
this was the most monumental time ever.
Man!
Yeah. One of the first ones for me, that I can think of was becoming a manager. I was 18 years old when I was managing my first staff. So I was really young, and I'll never forget, it was my very first all-staff meeting. So I'm this young kid. I'm 18 years old. I think I had like 15 or 20 trainers that worked for me. And I remember I had them all in there was a back rooms because it was big. So everybody was standing around me. And I was kind of nervous, but kind of psyched at the same time. And I remember I stood up on a desk. Like before the meeting, I don't know what popped in my mind, but I said, I'm going to stand up on this desk because I really want to get everybody to rally around me. And I stood up on this desk and I delivered this meeting. And the minute the words started flying out of my mouth, I just went on this autopilot. It just felt incredible to be in this position, to have this responsibility, and to be a part of this team. And at that moment, I felt for one of the first times in my entire life that this was what I was supposed to do. Like I'm supposed to lead a team, lead people, to have this kind of responsibility. It turns me on. I feel passionate about it. It feels really good, and I felt very empowered from it. So that's one of the first moments that I can think of that really defined me as a man. I guess one of the next ones, I know there's more in between that.
There's got to be several. Right now, I can think of a couple.
The next one I can think of was having children, having my kids, and it was there's two things that happened. They happened with my son because he was my first, and I experienced them first with him. Obviously, first was when he was born. I had this interesting experience. Like, I remember my wife at the time, she had this connection to the baby because she was carrying him, and she was talking about this baby in her belly, and I love him so much. And to me, it was exciting, but it was this real abstract concept. It was like, okay, I see that there's something in there. You're growing. I can see on the ultrasound that we have a child, but I have a connection through you, but I really don't have a connection yet to this baby. And I didn't realize it at the time. I thought I was connected.
I think that's common for all
men,
fathers.
Yeah. I didn't feel anything like what she was. At least I didn't realize it at the time. I thought I was. Then I saw my son come out. Like I literally saw him come out. I saw his face. He had he was scrunching his face up because he was about to start crying. And I remember I had a picture of myself that my mom took when I was firstborn, and he looked like me, so much like me. And I was like, holy shit. And it hit me so hard. Like, holy fuck, I'm a dad. And then over the course of the next week, I felt this overwhelming connection and love that I can't explain. There was nothing I had ever felt like it, and it was overwhelming because it was unexpected. I didn't know what was going on. Like, I'd watch him sleep, and in the middle of the night, if he made a sound, like, I'd jump up, like, oh my God, and all of a sudden I'm thinking about the future in different ways. And then fast forward, he's like 3 years old, and we're watching Finding Nemo, which was his favorite cartoon he would watch on repeat. And so the first time we watched it, we sat down and watched it, and he was glued to the TV, and it was the part where Nemo gets lost, the fisherman or whatever picks him up, and the father's swimming after the boat. And I'm watching it with my son, and I fucking started crying. And I don't cry at movies. I watch movies, and I'm like, it's a fucking movie.
Pixar.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a movie. I don't give a shit.
Making men cry.
I fucking cried, dude. Like, I didn't bawl, but like tears, like little couple tears came down.
You fought it.
And I was like,
I was there.
I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, what the fuck is? And I realized at that moment, like, wow, this is making me emotional. It just gets worse. I have my daughter and forget about it. So those are two of the biggest moments that I can feel that really defined me.
Let me just piggyback onto that just to get the father stuff out of the way here.
Because we're all gonna cry.
Yeah, there's two moments like I can identify as well. One was when I had graduated. I had graduated high school. I'd been through like 2 years at this college, and then had decided that like I don't really know who I am. Like where like I was trying to still find out what I wanted to do with my life. I had no idea, and so I got really challenged by that. By my parents and also like friends and people around me that were kind of still in the area, and they were unsure what they were doing, and I just like had decided, I'm just gonna get out of here. I'm gonna take any chance, anybody that throws an opportunity at me, I'm gonna get out of here. And I just decided to go, man. And I went to Chicago, and then just going through that entire process of not knowing anybody. Like I had no friends. I had it's just starting over again. And then this just sort of defined, I helped to really internalize the process of like how I think about things, what kind of traits like I don't know, like I grab onto, and like what defines me, like what kind of, there was a lot of adversity I forced myself into with this, and it was really cold and uncomfortable, and it was just this, I had broken up with my girlfriend of like 4 years, and like I just went out there and just decided to like find out who I am, and so that was like a defining moment for me, and then taking that experience back, the next sort of like groundbreaking thing in my life was definitely like having children. And then just, I could totally relate to what Sal's kind of describing as far as like not having that initial connection because, I really feel like it's biologically, with the first baby, when they're just a little, infant, it's like, you don't have you can just see the connection immediately with the mom, it's just there already. But it was until like, my son was able to start talking and communicating with me. It really just drew me in, and I just became changed forever. And and then that sort of process intensified even more the second time because you kind of know like the sequence of how this all unveils, but it's this immediate intensity of like, oh wow, now my life is a legacy. Now it's like I'm not just living for myself anymore. Like I'm really like what I do affects these people. So I have to like, figure all this out and what that means. And anyway, so that
can you guys think of times too that really define characteristics in relation to business and your work ethic? Like, can you remember times of like that you went through growing up that was like that happened that pushed you to this next level of work or this next level of business or understanding people? Or can you think of moments like when I'm listening to you guys, 100% of course, and I can't obviously relate with having a child because I haven't had a child, but it makes total sense of that being a defining moment in your characteristic and who you are for sure because it's a part of you, right? But I think of times like for me, one time that was, and I can sitting here listening, I was like, man, okay, well, this was a time that defined this about me being like buying my house by the time I was 21. Or even backing up further, I was out by 17. So I moved out when I was 17 years old and was paying for college and working full time, going to school full time and doing that all on my own. And I think that really defined who I was. I came from a very poor family and I was the oldest of 5. And when I moved out, I knew I didn't want that. I wanted more for my life. And probably when I was 17 years old, it was very materialistic driven. You know, it was, I didn't have things, I wanted things. And if I had to do it myself, I would do it myself. So, and that was the initial thing that defined me, but that's changed. And so I remember, you know, fast forward, now I'm 21, I buy my house. That was probably one of the that was probably the biggest accomplishment. I remember as a kid, to me, that meant so much for me to get to that point in my life. I probably rode that high for a good 5 years afterwards of like accomplishing that. And like, that meant so much to me in life that I'm accomplished, I'm established, I'm not going to be poor, I'm going to be okay. But then later in life, I continued to excel in business and financially. And, those that don't know this, like I have a watch collection, and each one of my watches represent a financial milestone that I made in my life. That, okay, until I've got this much money that I've made and saved, I'm not going to buy this one, and then the next one, and so on. So that meant a lot to me. And so I got to a point where that wasn't that important to me anymore. And I realized that it was to a point, because I didn't want to stress and worry about bills and things like that. But then I also realized that money didn't buy happiness, and, you know, I could have all these, toys and things, and, you know, it didn't complete me as a person. So, other things drove me. Another defining moment I can think of was actually probably the most recent. Would be, you know, competing and hitting pro as an IFBB. And it's funny that was a defining moment for me, because it had nothing really to do with becoming a pro men's physique athlete. It was more that I set out to go after a goal that I thought was extremely one of the more challenging goals in my life alone. You know, I didn't really have, I had Katrina. Katrina was a huge support and has always been a huge support of mine. But I didn't have anybody else to lean on to help me get there, and it taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about self-discipline, and also to do something that I knew I didn't have a love and passion for. So that to me, like it's easy to do like this. I love this. I love talking fitness with you guys. I love working out. I love doing that. But I did not love bodybuilding. I didn't love that sport. But I saw something that I felt I needed to do in order to propel something else that I wanted to do. And I think that, and it reminds me of a quote that I used to keep on my desk, and it's, you know, we do the things that we have to do now so we can do the things that we want to do later. Mm-hmm. And that's hard to do that. You know, everybody wants to do the things that we love to do, and everybody wants to find the job that they fall in love with, but that's not real fucking life. In real life, you got to do a lot of shit that you didn't want to do, or things that are hard work and, you know, frustrating, and to put myself through something like that, and anybody that's competed knows the discipline it takes, and then to work my way up to the highest level and to really not care about it. Yeah. And I think a lot of people trip out that I could walk away from it because I never really truly cared about it. It was part of an overall vision. So I felt like that was a very defining moment too on who I am as a character, that I could take something, or as a person, I could take something like that I can focus on, excel at it, and then still move on from it and not be married to it and become attached to it.
Wouldn't you say too, just to kind of dive back into your childhood, that it was like, most of what made you who you are is that process kind of growing up and then dealing with what you had to deal with, that and how to like define who you are going to be, and people that look up to you within your family is like sort of the role model, the authority figure.
I definitely think, if you wanted to go really get crazy deep, that's why I'm somebody also a fan of like a Tony Robbins, right? Who,
yeah,
I don't feel sorry for myself for anything that I went through. I think it forced me to mature at a very young age. God, I remember being it's crazy to think this, because at that time in my life, I thought I was super mature and whatever. But I remember being like 14 years old and, standing at the edge of my parents' bed and giving them like counseling and telling them like how to communicate and talk. I'm thinking to myself like, and that also caused a lot of issues and resentment later on in life with my family that I had to grow through. But I mean, I don't feel sorry that I had to go through that because it defines who I am and it made me into that person. And it also created the leader inside of me. And Sal touched a little bit on leadership. I think of another defining moment. I'll never forget sitting around a big district meeting that we had, and there was 12 other of my peers. So there's 12 fitness managers in the office. There's the district manager that was leading the meeting. And at that time, of the 12 trainers or the 12 managers that were sitting around the table, 8 of them were people that I hired and developed. And I took a lot of pride in that because I cared more about the success of the others than I even cared about the own success. And that was an evolution for me, because when I first started, it was very selfishly driven. It was, I don't want to be poor. I want these things. And I went after those. And once I achieved that, I realized that there was more than that, and I enjoyed other things. I enjoyed watching others that wanted those things and developing them. So I really think there's a lot of these I think we're continually defining ourselves.
You're defining yourself every single day.
Right.
Every single day.
Well, we all seek adversity, and let's be honest.
Growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable. That's the bottom. There's no need to change if everything's going great and everybody's comfortable and happy. Growth happens from uncomfort. Mm-hmm. The most growth happens from pain. And I know that sucks, but it's absolutely true. Maybe it gives you a little bit of comfort when you're going through a shitty time. Just know that if you make it, you're going to come out better, stronger than you were before. I know that whole it sounds so cliche that
the pressure creates a diamond.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but it's 100%.
There's a handful of people I have met in my entire life, and they exist, and I try and model after this. But really, when adversity comes, when the hardest times in their life come in, they literally fucking grin at it. Mm-hmm. They literally smile, grin as fuck yeah, bring it on. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you know why? Because I know when I make it through this, I'm going to be that much better than what I was before. And to say that, it's real easy to say that, but it's fucking real hard when you're in the thick of it to be able to step outside and say that and do that. But I'll tell you what, talk about probably one of the most powerful tools that I've ever, and I don't even want to say I've learned to do that because it's something I continually have to practice.
Yeah, who the hell wants to be in a position that's uncomfortable and sucks?
Well, you don't.
Does.
You don't until you realize that, like you just said, that the most growth comes from that.
Usually it's after.
Yeah.
It's usually after that shit went down, I'm like, oh my God, I survived. And I'm like, whoa.
And when you learn,
I grew from that so much,
When you learn to do this, you start to bring on more of these scary, challenging moments of career changes and taking out huge loans to start a business.
I think it's just you just don't fear them as much because you know what you've already been through. Yeah. You've been through the rodeo already. You know you survived. Worst case scenario. It's funny because I'll think in terms of worst case scenario a lot. Like, okay, worst case scenario, what could happen? I'll still be okay. I'm still be alive. Or worst case scenario, I'll die. What's so bad wrong? That's not the worst thing that could happen either. Like, you start to think in those terms, and really nothing can stop. You know what it reminds me of? There's a scene in Rocky IV. You guys are gonna laugh, but where his Adrian's
half of his fucking knowledge comes from Rocky. I
will break you.
Hey man, where Adrian is like, she's like telling him, you can't fight the Russian guy. He's gonna kill you. And he goes, listen, if for him to beat me, he has to kill me, and for him to kill me, he has to be willing to die himself. And I don't know if I don't think he's gonna be willing to do that. And it's true for you to go forward and do certain things. Sometimes you have to be willing to lose it all. And I don't think you should always live that way, but when you're going through some of your toughest challenges, that's one of the things. One other moment that popped into my mind was somebody who was a hero to me growing up, and still is my father. But as a child, as a kid, he was such a superhuman figure to me. Yeah. My dad was so strong, and he was so like unshakable, and and he was in many ways a lot of those things. Of course, as a kid, you blow him up. Like I think he's like Superman. And for a long time, like we would wrestle and do shit. My dad would kick my ass. He could beat me, right? No matter what I did with him, he would beat me up until, I'll never forget this, I was 18 years old. 18 years old. At this point, I had studied some judo, so I knew how to grapple a little bit. And we used to grapple in my parents' living room all the time. And we were grappling. And now I'm 18. Now I'm pretty strong. I've been lifting weights for a little while. And I can give him somewhat of a match. He still beats me, but I can make him sweat a little bit. But in my mind, he's still some superhuman figure. And I'll never forget, man, we were going, and I caught him in it was a shoulder lock. And I caught him in a shoulder lock, and he didn't want to get out of it, and I'm cranking it. And finally, I hear him go, and he taps out. And immediately, my image of him being the superhuman, like unbeatable Superman, it was a very strange transition. It was shattered.
He's human.
It was weird.
He's beatable.
It was shattered.
Dude,
and it wasn't like
you brought back so many memories.
and it
dude.
wasn't like I wasn't fucking happy.
No.
I was actually sad.
It's funny. My
I was
dad
so-
used to sit on me. Like he would just smother me because we'd wrestle all the time. And
People should know that Justin's dad's like fucking 6'7", 200.
Yeah, he's
200,
huge.
almost 300 pounds.
So
Big
he
dude.
used to just smother me. That was his go-to, and just like dead weight. So imagine a 6'7" guy that's like well over 200 pounds, just complete. Like you try to get that fucking dude off of you, right? And I was just like, oh God, he's doing it again. Like there was no way out. And there was just one time, it was when I was finally, I think it was when I was in 9th grade or something. And I would still wrestle with him because I was like a shithead like that. I just love wrestling and just, like all that kind of stuff. And we're wrestling and then he just smothers me. And then I'm like, I just got all of my might together. Like I just got all of my strength. I summoned it and I was just, and I started lifting him. And I lifted him and then I rolled him on his back. And then I got up and I just like threw my arms in the air. And then I just walked away. And I was like,
You didn't feel sad?
no, I just walked away. Like I felt like the champion of the universe.
See, I felt sad. I actually felt sad. It's like when Rocky
Well, it's
Marciano.
because it's your hero.
Well,
You see your hero finally get beat. You know?
It's like God, what's his name?
my dad congratulated me though.
Well, I felt bad after I did that. Like not bad for him because I didn't hurt him or anything, but I felt like, oh my God, like he's not like invincible. I felt really bad, and then I developed a new respect for my father because then I started to really respect him for just being the good man that he is, and then it became more true, and that was a defining moment.
That's
for
why
me.
kids need to lose.
Yeah, that's why you need to beat your
Fuck,
kid.
man. Fuck this. Everybody gets a trophy shit.
Yeah, that's very good, Justin.
Yeah.
Listen, if you like Mind Pump, leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. If we like your review and pick it, you'll get a free Mind Pump t-shirt. Also, push stop on the podcast right now. Go to YouTube. Subscribe to Mind Pump TV. Let me tell you something. We provide a brand new video every single day, 365 days out of the year. You'll get a new video that's about an exercise or nutrition or something else that's fitness, health related, or just cool. You're going to get every single day. Nobody else does that. We're the only ones that do that because I said so. Also, check out mindpumpmedia.com. That's where you can find all of our programs. And you can also find us on Instagram at mindpumpradio. You can find me at mindpumpsal. Justin's at mindpumpjustin, and Adam is at mindpumpadam.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.